Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Green Room. I am your producer / co-host, Andrew Kent, along with my two buddies, Mark DiGiovanni and Otto Keisker. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Andrew. Doing great. Excited for the Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm coming from Ocean City, New Jersey. We got Otto, who's coming all the way up from Maine, and Mark, of course, is right in the Radnor area, close to Villanova, the two-time recent champions. This guy knows what winning is all about, along with the Eagles and the Phillies in recent years. So we're all very excited to begin this podcast. I know these guys, they want to eventually focus mostly on the 2022 NFL draft, but for this first episode, I think we can all agree that the best option for an opening is Super Bowl 55 or 56 now. I can't even keep track.
56.
Is it 56? Okay, Super Bowl 56 it is. It's a Super Bowl I'm actually looking forward to a lot because these two teams were some of the best stories the entire year of the 2021 NFL season. On one hand, you got the Cincinnati Bengals, who were a team that nobody saw coming. Nobody predicted them to make the Super Bowl or even the playoffs this year. For me, I had them winning around 6 or 7 games. They're led by Joe Burrow and rookie Jamar Chase, who is a sensation. So that team is just completely out of nowhere and the underdog for sure in this team. Then you got the LA Rams, Team LA. Who the heck would have thought the Rams would be in 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years, despite not even being in LA for 25 years, like Mark always likes to say. This team is led by Matthew Stafford, who spent multiple years with the Lions. They missed the playoffs year after year, made a couple of playoff appearances, but never once did Stafford win a playoff game until this year. And this year, he won 3 to jump into Super Bowl 56. He is along with Cooper Kupp, who for many think he is the MVP this season. They also have a pretty good defense led by Aaron Donald. So I think it's going to be a really exciting Super Bowl, one of the most exciting of years past. Could possibly rival that of Super Bowl 52 between the Patriots and the Eagles. And us being Eagles fans, we all knew what a classic that Super Bowl matchup was. So guys, I think we may as well just get right into the nitty-gritty here of Super Bowl 56 and talk about the journeys of both teams. So, Mark, let's start with you. Talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and their journey to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I guess their journey kind of starts in the year 2020 or at the end of 2019. They were the worst team in football, laughing stock of the league. And, this team was known for signing, guys off the street who were, did some time in prison like Adam Pac-Man Jones and Vontaze Burfict. Just a lot of character guys that didn't make sense. And then all of a sudden they draft, the young man out of LSU, Jungle Joe Burrow. And I mean, they've kind of built this team through the draft. I mean, look at Burrow, like I just said. T. Higgins was a great pick the same year, and obviously picking up Jamar Chase and some of the other guys. I mean, it's just been unbelievable. And coming into this year, like you said, Andrew, no one expected this team to be here. I thought I had them as a wild card team. I didn't know how Burrow was going to perform off a torn ACL, but sure enough, here we are. They win the AFC North. No one saw that coming, and Joe Burrow, second, did it in year 2 in LSU, won a national championship. In year 2 in the NFL, is looking to win another ring.
All right, and then let's go to Otto, who I'm sure is not too pleased that the LA Rams made the Super Bowl out of the NFC over our Philadelphia Eagles. But you know what? It's another pretty good story with Matthew Stafford. So Otto, why don't you get into the Rams' journey to Super Bowl 56?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm not the only one here that's not too happy that the LA Rams are the NFC Super Bowl team. However, they are, and it really starts with their head coach. Started when Sean McVay was hired, and they brought in Les Snead. There's been a lot of talk about how this team has kind of taken the opposite approach of the Bengals. They have not built through the draft. They've built a lot through free agency. Some would say bought their talent. However, I think that's not necessarily a true narrative. This team has brought in a lot of talent through trade acquisitions. We think about Jalen Ramsey, obviously, was probably the first big one. This year, Matt Stafford, Odell, Von Miller. But when you look at some of the draft picks that this team has made since Sean McVay and Les Snead have gotten there, it's really impressive in the middle rounds. You look at Cam Akers, Cooper Kupp, who we already talked about, and I'm sure we will talk about a little bit more. Van Jefferson, right? This team has really built through the draft and has done a great job of evaluating middle round talent. So hats off to them there. And then they've cemented the rest of the team through the trades throughout the year. The biggest move, obviously, being Matthew Stafford last year. We saw over the last couple of years that this offense started to look like it was getting a little bit stale. Everyone was blaming Jared Goff. People started to question, was it maybe McVay? And then we bring in Matt Stafford. They figure out the offense after a little bit of a rut in the middle of the year. And we're right back here in the Super Bowl, just like the Rams were 3 years ago. And everything seems to be firing on all cylinders on offense. And we're going to see how they stack up against the Bengals on Sunday.
For sure. And continuing with this Super Bowl 56 topic, for both of you, who do you think would be, what do you guys think would be the better story if the Rams or the Bengals won this Super Bowl? Would it be better to see Matthew Stafford win the Super Bowl after spending so many years in the garbage city that was Detroit? I don't even know how many years he was, but it felt like an eternity. Or would it be better to see Joe Burrow, the man that not only won the Heisman in college, but also won a national championship with LSU, and then in the second year to come into Cincinnati, a team that has yet to win their first Super Bowl and take the crown this year?
Yeah, Andrew, that's a good question. I don't know what's going to be a better story. I think it's both great stories. Like you said with Stafford, just beat up in Detroit and awful ownership, awful coaches, all that. I don't know. I'd probably have to go with Joe Burrow because of the fact that if he does win a Super Bowl, he does join that all Joe club. Joe Montana and Joe Namath as the only quarterbacks to win a national championship in college and a Super Bowl starting. And then he'll be the first QB ever to win a Heisman, a national championship, and a Super Bowl. So I think that's going to be a big story, and especially because the Bengals have gotten there twice, and they did lose to a quarterback named Joe in the 80s. So I think, for Cincinnati, I think they need to see a Super Bowl where they have the Joe on their side.
Yeah, and I think Mark is going with the narrative that seems to be out there. Everybody's with Cincinnati, and obviously the story there, the big one, as well as Joe Burrow and what he's done is just no Super Bowls in Cincinnati. We all saw the pep rally that they had last night, how much it means to these fans. There were some great videos put together by the Enquirer out there of how much it meant to the fans when McPherson hit the field goal against Kansas City. But I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford. I mean, how can you not? We're talking about this guy for the last 5 weeks of the season, and we're like, oh, maybe it wasn't Detroit that was so bad. Maybe it was Matthew Stafford. He's throwing 2 to 3 picks a game. I mean, the Rams will be lucky if they can keep a hold of the division, and if they get in, then they're going to be one and done. And then they just walk in and they run over the Cardinals, right? A division opponent. It's hard to play anybody 3 times in one season, and they just absolutely exposed every flaw they had in the first round. Then they walk in there, and Matthew Stafford, with 1 playoff game under his belt, plays Tom Brady, who's played the equivalent of like 500 seasons of playoff games under his belt, right? And he just walks in there, and Matthew Stafford says, well, I'm going to go up 25 points. I'll let you come back, Tom. I'll let your legacy, continue to grow. Let you kind of go out on a good note. But then once you get it close, no, I'm just crushing your dreams. Set up the field goal. We're done. And then he goes and plays another division opponent for the 3rd time. And we're talking about a team that we're going to get into this a little bit later, I believe, the dynamic between Zach Taylor coaching underneath Sean McVay, right, and how that has played out. But let's look at the NFC Championship game, right? We had Shanahan coaching against McVay, and when you want to talk about, the older predecessor who's looking down on the younger guy, and he's like, you can't beat me. You may think you have me figured out, but you can't beat me. Shanahan's got him 6 of the last 6 games, and Matthew Stafford brings him back from a big deficit in the fourth quarter with no timeouts and no challenges and walks into the Super Bowl. I think it's a great story specifically for Matthew Stafford. Obviously, there's some other great stories on the Rams, but that's going to be one that I'm watching this weekend.
Yeah, I was particularly surprised that in game one, the wild card round, the Rams just absolutely dismantled a division rival in the Cardinals. I could not believe that. I was rooting for the Cardinals so much in that game. Kyler Murray, that guy has been a stud the last couple of years, but Matthew Stafford just made that team look like a complete embarrassment. And then the last two games were just incredible runs. I mean, I know they let up that big comeback. They had that big comeback in the Bucks game, but they still got the job done at the end of the day. They conquered the world, the NFC, and hopefully for Matthew Stafford he can get it done. But you know what, Mark? I think I have to ride on your train here with Cincinnati. I'm absolutely sick and tired of LA, that stupid city. You know what? What really ticks me off though is I already know this is going to happen this Sunday. You just go on LeBron James's Twitter, and you know exactly what he's going to be saying. Oh, LA all day, baby. Matthew Stafford, MVP. Cooper Kupp, MVP 2.0. Aaron Donald, Von Miller. The entire team is an MVP. I'll be like, you know what? Shut the hell up, LeBron. You are so annoying. I don't want to hear a word of what you have to say about this stupid team of yours. They're not even your team. I mean, you're not even from LA, man. Like, what team are you a fan of, really? I don't understand at this point. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm going with Cincinnati. I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw the Reds do anything. When was the last time they made the playoffs? It's probably been a little while for them.
I think the last time they won the World Series was 1990. So, I mean, you're talking about a city that's gone, almost 30, going on 40 years with not winning a Super Bowl. Or a championship, I should say.
Right, yeah. That's because, like we mentioned, it's been since 1989. That was the last time the Bengals made the Super Bowl, which is over 30 years. And we in Philadelphia still complain about not winning many championships, but at the very least we had the Phillies and the Eagles. But there's a couple other cities out there. Like, look at Atlanta. They haven't done anything.
They got the Braves.
Except for the Braves. The Braves,
and the Georgia win. They got a Georgia win.
Man, I don't know if they really count. But yeah, the Braves did finally get one this year. But before then, it was like they were one of the most pitiful cities in all of America in terms of championships. So
they never won until that point.
No. Yeah.
Because the Hawks won when they were in St. Louis, so they never won a championship. There was no major. Well, the Braves did win.
The Braves won in the 90s, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I know what you mean.
And the Falcons should have won our freshman year of college in Super Bowl 51, but they screwed that up. So
that's living up in New England. We don't really talk about that game. We don't talk about that one up here. But I agree. I think it will be special, especially for those fans. I think I saw that Cincinnati's closed all schools on Monday in hopes that it is a day of celebration. If they win, there's going to be a lot of demon killing going on in Cincinnati that night, the same way there was in Philadelphia 4 years ago. And as we all know, it goes late into the night. I think we were still on Broad Street at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, so. Yeah. I was going to say, you guys know how special it is, especially like when your team makes a championship run. Like, we've seen the Eagles get to NFC championships, but to actually see them go to the Super Bowl, when we can actually appreciate it. We were really young when they went with McNabb and those guys. So for us, it was kind of oh yeah, they got there. But for us now to officially appreciate that what happened 4 years ago, and seeing the videos, I think it was on Cincinnati.com. I saw there was a kid in a wheelchair with his dad going crazy when McPherson hit that kick. And that's what it's all about. It's the moments like that you share with your family.
Yeah.
And it's just such a special thing when your team goes. And it's funny, my buddy and I were talking about this the other day. It's it's funny how a game like football means generally nothing in the grand scheme of things can bring people together like the sport of football can. Mm-hmm. So it's just amazing.
Means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it means everything for that moment in your life.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. It's hard to describe to someone who's not a football fan what that's like, but it's just an amazing feeling. It's so hard to describe. It's funny. You feel like you were with the team. Like, you felt like you were a part of that family.
Yeah, and I liked how Otto mentioned that in Cincinnati, no matter what happens, there will be no school on Monday, and it reminds me of back when the Eagles were in that first Super Bowl against the Patriots in 2005. I was in first grade, and all of us were in first grade, and I remember sitting in class, and the janitor of the school got on the loudspeaker and said, "If the Eagles win this Sunday, no school on Monday." And like all the kids were like, "Yeah!" And then Donovan McNabb puked on the sideline and we lost. So
Yeah, I remember Otto and I used to talk about this in college. Is that McNabb denies it? It's like, dude, we all saw you do it.
well, I really hope the best for the Bengals this Sunday. I don't want them to be in the same sad state that we are all in back in 2005 after losing that Super Bowl. But you guys also mentioned, I think it was Otto, Zach Taylor in this game as the coach, and we all know that he used to coach under Sean McVay back in LA a couple years ago before he got the Cincinnati job. I wanted to ask you guys what you all think about Zach Taylor being the coach in this game, going up against his former coach Sean McVay, and who do you think this matchup means more to, Sean McVay or Zach Taylor? Would it be who is it more important of a Super Bowl for between those two coaches? Because McVay, he already made it once, but lost a couple of years ago. And then on the other hand, you got Zach Taylor, who, if you're him, you don't want to lose a game to your former coach who was higher up than you. Obviously, this is an important game for both coaches, and there's a lot on the line for both as well.
Yeah, I think Otto brought it up. There's been a lot of demon killing with especially these former coaches. I mean, look at the college season this year. Nick Saban's never lost to one of his students, and yet that happened to him twice this year. Jimbo beat him in Texas A&M, and then obviously Kirby beats him in the national championship. And as Otto alluded to, Shanahan was 6-0 against Sean McVay. Sean McVay beats him in the NFC Championship. So I think, obviously for Zach Taylor, I think this was kind of like a weird year for him, whether he was going to get fired or not, especially having Burrow. And I think for him, I think he saved his job already. But I think if it had him being more important, I'm going to say it means more to McVay as kind of like the boy wonder in the NFL. And, already being there. And I think he has this roster, which Otter said they acquired a ton of picks and, well, not acquired a ton of picks, but acquired a ton of players. I think this is a loaded roster. I think it means more to McVay since he already was there once.
Yeah, when I think about this one, I think about the matchup. It's an interesting one. Always interesting when you have two coaches going against each other that have coached together. We saw it a lot. Andy Reid had a great coaching tree. A lot of people would leave. We'd see him coach against Andy. One of the interesting ones with this matchup that I think about is from the defensive side. Lou Anarumo, I believe, is the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati. When was some too deep safety against the Chiefs? Told Mahomes, "You're not going to beat me over the top. We're going to make you kind of dink and dunk." That was what stopped this Rams offense back in 2018 when they went on their Super Bowl run. That's what the Patriots did to them. It's actually what the Eagles did to them that year and the year before that when they played them. Seems to be a weakness there. So you've got a coach that knows Sean McVay, knows his offense, and knows that's a weakness, and you got a defensive coordinator who's used it effectively just 2 weeks ago. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see how much too high safety they use in this game, how they're able to limit that deep passing game for the Rams. And then I agree with Mark as far as who this is the most important for. When you're talking about building a roster, the way that the Rams have built it, and trading away first-round picks, I don't think they have another one until 2026 right now.
Yeah, I think it's 2025 is their next first-round pick.
Okay, and so, I mean, you're sitting there. You've got older players. Some of them are nearing contracts, right? So you don't know how long you're going to keep this team together, and you don't have first-round picks. So they could continue to kind of reload this roster, which has been their mantra. But it's a hard thing to do. It's not something that you can count on necessarily. So you may not have this team that gets back there. And then to Mark's point, Sean McVay is kind of looked at as the boy wonder, that's for sure. But The boy wonder put up 3 points on offense in his first Super Bowl appearance. So yeah, I think this game is more important for him. That roster is probably going to turn over more quickly than the Bengals roster. As to where Zach Taylor, let's be honest, wasn't expected to be here. It was a heck of a job for him getting here, but he wasn't expected to be here. And when you look at the way that roster is built, a lot of this team is young talent that's going to be there for a long time, and you would expect them to be back really, really soon. So.
Yeah, Otto, I like your point there too, because if you look at the Rams window, they only may have this game and maybe next season as their Super Bowl window. Meanwhile, you look at the Bengals; they're all young. I mean, Burrow's on his rookie deal, Chase is obviously on his rookie deal, Tyler Boyd's still on his rookie deal, Higgins is on his rookie deal. All these guys are on their rookie deals, and they just have a ton of money and a ton of cap space going into next year. So they're going to retain a lot of their players. Unlike the Rams, who it's like you got like this year and next, maybe.
Wait, I had no idea that Tyler Boyd was on his rookie deal. I thought that guy was like 30.
Wait, I might have to double check that.
I could be completely wrong. The only reason I thought that was because in fantasy this year, he completely digressed compared to what he's usually capable of doing. He was like obviously the third option.
Boyd may not be on his rookie deal, but I know T. Higgins is.
Yeah.
But the majority of those offensive weapons, I mean, geez, they're under contract, and I just got an update tonight that Gronk said the only QB he would play with now that Brady is gone is Joe Burrow. So maybe they add Rob Gronkowski to that roster next year.
Yeah, that would be nuts. Yeah, I'm looking at Boyd's contract. He signed a 4-year deal, so he's got this year and next year. So I was wrong on that, but he's still on a good chunk of contract, not like making like Odell money or anything like that.
He's the one nice veteran presence to you can have, and you can coach both T and Jamar, especially in the Super Bowl, because when it's a bunch of younger guys, like they don't have any. If you don't have any veteran presence around you, it's going to be tough. That at least some of these guys who've been there before know exactly what it's like, and they can kind of tell you about their experience and how you can adapt to playing and on such a big scale. I mean, Super Bowl is huge. It's going to be over 100,000 easily, 100 million easily this year. Maybe they'll set a record, but every single year it seems like more and more people tune in. And plus, you kind of forget for the Rams too that they have home field advantage at SoFi. But honestly, at the same time, nobody even thinks the Rams have fans, and I personally don't think they do either. Who the heck is a Rams fan? I don't know a single one. Like I said, LeBron is a Rams fan only because he lives in LA now after just moving there a couple of years ago. Those are the only people rooting for the Rams. They're fake fans, just like most of the fans in LA. At least the Bengals, hopefully for them, they have their fans travel. But LA, you literally walk outside your door, you're right next to the stadium, and the fans there probably still won't go to the game. So
I agree with all of that, Sven. And I think the Rams have home field advantage. Actually, to take it even further, last year was the first year ever we saw a Super Bowl team have home field advantage. This year is the first year ever we're seeing a team have NFC Championship home field advantage and Super Bowl advantage, right? Except if you watch the NFC Championship, you heard Niners chants. So there was no home field there. And now you got these Bengals fans that, they're starved of this championship. And, I mean, they'd give an arm and a leg to get out there. So I think you're going to hear Bengals chants as clear as day in SoFi Stadium on Sunday night. It may be home turf for the Rams, but it's home field advantage for the Bengals in my mind.
And it's funny too is you look at last year's Super Bowl, Tampa Bay was designated the home team because the AFC and NFC switched, even though they were a wild card team. So technically this year, the Rams are the away team in their own stadium. So it's kind of funny. Like I know some people are like, so are the Rams even going to be in their own locker room? Like, how's that going to work if they're not the quote unquote home team? So I don't know. It'll be interesting. But I think what Otto said, I know they divvy up the tickets 50-50, but yeah, the Rams got no fans, man. All their fans are in St. Louis. They're still reminiscing on that Kurt Warner movie, so I feel bad for them. All they got is hockey, baseball, and a Six Flags out there, man.
Yep. That's it. that's the unfortunate events that they have happening out there. But let's. I think we should get into predictions for the Super Bowl. Um, now, like we said, two great stories. It's going to be, I hope, an explosive game. I personally, I never have been a fan of seeing too much defense. Super Bowl 50, what was that, 3? Yeah, or
Yeah.
54. Well, no, I can't even remember. 53, I guess. The one where there was the Patriots. Yeah, it was the year after. That's right. So it was 53 between the Patriots and the Rams last time. And that was one of the worst Super Bowls I ever watched in my entire life. That was so boring. I think the final score was 13-3. I could not stand watching that game. And some people were like, "Oh my god, it was a great game. There was all this defense, and I care more about defense." I'm like, "No, shut the heck up, dude. Like, it's only about offense. We all want to see offense. That's the only thing that matters, and that's why Super Bowl 52 between the Eagles and the Patriots was one of the all-time greatest Super Bowls ever played. So for me, I think this game is going to come down who can make the bigger plays, and a big part of both teams' offense is between Cup and Jamar Chase. I also think for the Bengals, Joe Mixon will be a vital piece to their success. As we know, with the Rams, they've been struggling a little bit running the ball. They just lost Darrell Henderson before the postseason. Cam Akers is back, but he hasn't made that much of a significance in the playoffs thus far. They got Sony Michel, but he's more of a veteran and isn't as reliable as a younger running back in the league. But Mixon is definitely still one of the premier running backs in the NFL. So I personally think it's going to come down between the superstars in this game, as well as for the Bengals running the ball to Mixon. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you made a great point there. It's going to come down to who makes the most plays, and it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. Like Otto said earlier, Stafford has been a turnover machine down the stretch, and obviously we'll see how Burrow. Like we've seen him handle big games in college. I mean, we know you play against Alabama, but how are you going to play against the Rams in the biggest game ever in football? So I think really it comes down to the quarterback play.
Yeah, what I'm looking at is really the O line D line play. Everybody's been talking about Joe Burrow lately, but I can't get that Tennessee game out of my head where he takes 9 sacks. This O line or this D line for the Rams is really built to get after the quarterback. Von Miller gets around the edge, quarterback steps up, and he steps into Aaron Donald's hands. So I'm really looking at who can keep those D lines at bay. Same story for the Bengals. They got two really good edge rushers. So I think it's going to come down to who can keep their quarterback in the cleanest pocket and allow them to make plays. And then to you guys' point, who's got the big play? Is Zach Taylor going to come up with it, or is it going to be the boy genius, Sean McVay?
That's true. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see who comes up with the biggest plays of the game. But I'm still wondering whether or not if the Bengals would have been in this position had they taken an O lineman to protect Joe Burrow over taking Jamar Chase at that number 5 spot in the NFL draft. Do you guys think there'd be a chance that we could see the Bengals still in the Super Bowl despite not having Jamar Chase?
I mean, that's a great question, but I think Chase does so much for their offense that an offensive lineman can't do. I mean, he's pretty much like their Tyreek Hill element. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna have to say Chase was the pick. I mean, obviously here they are, and it's easy to say that, but I don't know. I think Otto would agree. I mean, Chase is just a beast.
Yeah, I think everybody talks about when there's an exception to the rule, right? And in general, the rule in the NFL is you build through the trenches first, right? There's certain positions that are always at the top of the draft: QB, D end, left tackle, what it may be. It's interesting because Penei Sewell, the left tackle that was there, that everybody thought the Bengals were taking, had a great year, was really good in Detroit, right? So, I mean, given that, you would sit there and go, oh, well, that's who you would have wanted for the Bengals. But Jamar Chase is an exception. He is that good. And when you think about the game that he had against Kansas City, not just getting them the win, but that really started the momentum for this team to take them through the playoffs. It gave them the confidence to say, we're going to bench Burrow week 18. We're going to go in as the 4 seed and not worry about our seeding, and we're not worried. We're still going to be able to beat everybody. And Jamar Chase played a huge role in that. So I don't think they're in the Super Bowl without Jamar Chase.
I think everyone pretty much can agree with that too. He's been a sensation. I think he's the rookie of the year, hands down. I love that seeing that kid play this year. The only thing for me that I hated about him was the fact that he took away a lot of fantasy points from T. Higgins from my team, which ultimately led to my team unfortunately losing in the fantasy football championship this year, which left me very upset. But you know what? Good for Jamar Chase. I'm happy for the kid. He's made a name for himself in only his rookie year, and right now I think most people would agree that he's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL in only his first year. Him and Justin Jefferson are 2 of the youngest receivers in the NFL and 2 of the best. But guys, let's get right into who we think is going to win this game. Rams or Bengals? Mark, who are you picking, and what is your final score?
I unfortunately hate to do this to you, Andrew. I got the Rams 30, Bengals 27. I got the Bengals to cover, but I think the Rams ultimately win. So I have to be the bearer of bad news for you and LeBron James, but that's what I got.
When Joe Burrow was born, Joe Burrow drove his mom home from the hospital. When Joe Burrow walked into math class, Joe Burrow could divide by 0. To me, this is one where when I look at the spread, I look at that 4-point spread. First of all, the Rams can't keep a lead. Everybody's talked about how great these games have been lately, and they have been. But no teams can keep a lead. The teams that have had the lead, it's really embarrassing for them, even if they have pulled out wins like the Rams did against the Bucs. So to me, the Bengals have constantly been a team coming back. The Rams are a team that can't keep a lead. I think this is a close game. I definitely think Cincinnati's covering the 4 points. And then, you know what? It's an indoor stadium with absolutely no wind, and the best kicker is on the Bengals team. I got Joe Burrow, and putting it on the leg of McPherson to win it.
That would be absolutely incredible if McPherson won this game for the Bengals too. I think he has a postseason record, right, for most field goals made in the postseason. He beat Adam Vinatieri's record.
He broke Vinatieri's record. I love this story he told on Pat McAfee when McPherson told the backup quarterback in Tennessee, said, "Hey, pack your bags for the AFC Championship," and then goes out there and drills it from 50. Like that's swagger on a whole nother level.
Yeah, he's been another really good addition to this Bengals team, young team that is. For me, you know, I think the Rams are choke artists. I think they're kind of like the 49ers. They really have, while they've been able to get pretty far in recent years, I just don't see them being able to beat a team that's as hot as the Bengals. If the Bengals are going to get there and they're in their second year of Joe Burrow as a NFL professional quarterback, then I'm going to say they're going to win the whole thing. I just don't see them getting there and losing to a team like the Rams, a city that already has enough championships as is, and Cincinnati, as we said, has barely had any, if any at all. So for me, I'm going to go with the Bengals winning this game. Final score, I'm going to say 31-24. I think the Rams will have the ball at the end of the game with like a minute and a half left. Try to get that final touchdown to tie it up, but they're going to come up short, and the Bengals are going to be celebrating. It's going to be kind of a similar story to the Eagles in that miracle run back in 2018. So that's my prediction for this Super Bowl. You guys have any final thoughts on the score of the game or any other predictions for the game itself before we get into our last few thoughts here with the fun stuff?
I didn't give a score, so I'll just jump in with 27-24. That's my McPherson kicks the field goal for the win on the score. My one player to watch, just when I think about the game, Sean McVay does a great job of being one step ahead of a defense normally. Does a great job of sucking the linebackers up on the run game. Cincinnati has some great linebackers, some guys that I've scouted in the recent drafts, and Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson. They're very aggressive linebackers. You can get them moving on their toes, and you can get receivers in behind them. I think this could be a game where he may not have a huge game, but he may come up with a big catch in a big moment getting behind the linebackers. Tyler Higbee.
Mark?
I think the guy for me to watch, I was going to say that little Evan McPherson, man. That guy, I mean, he's just been unbelievable. I know it's weird to say a kicker can play such a huge role, but I mean, it's unbelievable what this kid's done as a 5th-round draft pick. And I mean, look what he's just been unbelievable. Like we said earlier, he's breaking out of Vinatieri's record. So, I mean, if that kid gets in range, he's got all the confidence in the world to knock it through. I mean, when you tell your backup quarterback, hey, pack your bags, bud, get ready. I mean, they know you got a confident kicker. It's kind
I think if I could just add to Mark's point there, if Evan McPherson really does knock through the game-winning field goal on Sunday night, next week on our next podcast, when we start to break down draft prospects, one of the main focuses is going to be the kicker position, just as a credit to Evan McPherson.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, McPherson's kind of like a goalie in hockey. Like, when you have a hot goalie, he's got all the confidence in the world. That's what you need at the kicker. They're like kind of like the weird positions that like you need to be good. You know what I mean? It's a weird thing.
Oh, well, if you have a bad kicker, you're going to lose a lot of games, so you need that guy to put in those extra points. If you get 5 field goals in one game, that's 15 points right there. It's a very a position that you really need to work out. Otherwise, you're going to be missing out on several more points. So, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how well McPherson does on such a large-scale event like the Super Bowl itself. So I can't wait to see what he does. But now with our Super Bowl predictions out of the way, let's get into some fun stuff for Super Bowl 56, such as the coin toss, the halftime performance, and of course, the MVP of the game. Let's start off with the national anthem, guys. Okay, so the over-under right now is 95 seconds. And I think Mark said he had it at, 98 last night? Who said that, Otto or Mark?
98 last night and up to 100 right before we started the show today, actually. So moving up.
Oh, wow. I've
been seeing some rumors on the internet. So I think the singer is Mickey Guyton, and some people have been doing some research, and they've been calling her Quickie Mickey. So a lot of people are taking the under. So if you want to fade the public, as you know, our betting expert John Ken always says, take the over if you want to fade the public there. Because Quickie is trending.
Forget fading the public. Do yourself a favor. YouTube Mickey Guyton National Anthem. The top hit on there is 1 minute and 27 seconds long. It's the full national anthem. She sang it 9 months ago in 1 minute and 27. If you can get that line in 1 minute and 40, take the under. It's the easiest money you will ever make.
I was going to say, hey, Otto, you know what I mean? Also, it's her biggest moment. She's going to milk it, man. She's going to absolutely milk it.
That is the trickiest thing to bet on, though. I could never bet on the over-under of the national anthem. It was so hard.
You got to hope she holds those high notes. It's basically what you got to hope for.
I'm hoping that she starts to rush. She gets a little nervous off the bat. Everybody gets a little nervous in those situations off the bat. They rush. They speak fast off the bat. And then she may settle in. But by that point, I think we're going to get the under here.
Okay. And what about the coin toss? What do you guys think it'll be? Heads or tails? What are you taking?
I mean, I always say tails never fails, but it did fail against Buffalo and it did fail against Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship. I don't know. It's 50-50. Literally take a coin toss. Literally.
Yeah. Josh Allen told me it was heads, so I'm going to go with
tails. That's the best way to look at it. Okay. All right. I like the good one. I don't even know. I honestly, the coin flip is always a tricky one to pick too. It's like, it's 50-50. What the heck are you going to do about it? Whether or not it lands on heads or tails, either way, you're pretty much a loser because you're betting on a coin flip over betting on the actual game. But you know what, though? the people that are the real losers are the ones that actually stay tuned for the halftime performance, unless Shakira is performing. But she is not this year. It's apparently Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Eminem. Wow, what a terrible lineup that is. I'm not gonna watch that's so boring. They and like half of the time, if it's a rapper, they end up slipping a few f bombs here or there. So I'm sure that's going to be great for all the moms and dads out there with young kids. That's not going to be a halftime performance worth remembering for them. So I guess you guys put down here who will perform first at halftime, and if you guys have to pick, what do you think would be the best way to go about introducing each halftime performer?
You know what, Andrew? I kind of get having Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. California. They were kind of like growing up with Tupac, N.W.A. Those guys. Then Snoop D.O. Double G. I get it. You want to have the original OGs. I got it. But Mary J. Blige, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar. I don't know, man. Like those guys haven't made music in like 10 years. Like I don't think I've ever heard a Mary J. Blige song. So maybe I'll have to go listen to her just so I can get myself prepared. But if you want to give me my pick, I'm going to give you some value here. Bet on Snoop D-O Double G plus 355. He's the original OG, California Love with Tupac. Give me Snoop D-O Double G plus 355. I can't even talk right now. Let's go, Snoop.
He's too excited about Snoop Dogg coming out to perform. Probably do some like maybe he'll do some of his like '90s hits or something like that.
What I'm saying, it's coming out, California Love. That's the first song. I'm telling you that right now. I wonder what the odds are for that.
Well, you know what? If Mary J. Blige is the first person to come out, and right now she has the best odds. If she's the first person to come out, I'm pretty sure like 50% of the people watching the Super Bowl are just going to turn it off because nobody has any clue who she is anyway. I agree with you, Mark. I don't know a single song by Mary J. Blige, so if she shows up, I'll literally say, "Who the heck is this?" and then just immediately turn it off. I can find something better to watch for 15 minutes in the Super Bowl halftime show. What about you, Otto? Who do you think would be the best option to bring out first, and who do you think it'll ultimately be?
I'm kind of sitting here right now eating some M&Ms, but I got to go with Mark. I mean, it's this easy to me. I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Old School with Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn, and great movie about a bunch of guys who go back to party in college. And when you think about that, Snoop Dogg comes out, performs there, and he gets the crowd so excited that Will Ferrell goes streaking through the middle of campus. I mean, there's only one guy who can get the crowd going, and it's Snoop Dogg. It's got to be Snoop.
Yes.
Snoop, you're a Double G, baby.
Yes, I think so too. I mean, Kendrick Lamar, as Mark stated, really hasn't made much music recently. Dr. Dre, I think his last main hit was like 11 years ago, and then Eminem, same thing for that guy. He really hasn't done anything since he made a couple of massive hits in 2010. It'd be really weird too if Eminem was the first person to come out and just start rapping some older songs. You can't really have Eminem's energy out there first. It has to be somebody who is a little more chill, isn't as upbeat and upset in his music like Eminem. So I think it's got to be Snoop Dogg, but if not him, it probably will just be a no-name like Mary J. Blige. So I think you guys are right. It should be Snoop Dogg, but who knows if it will. We also have to talk about what color liquid will be poured out on the winning coach. Could it be orange at plus 135, red plus 1,000, lime plus 350, water plus 350, blue plus 325, or purple plus 200? I remember last year it was blue, so it probably won't be blue 2 years in a row.
Andrew, I think it all comes down to the team's actual color. So, I mean, if you really want to bet on value, you want to put your money on blue and orange. Those are the two teams playing. I don't know last time when they dumped water. I guess that could be clear Gatorade too. So I don't know. But for me, I'm sticking with the colors of the teams because that's usually what they have on the sideline. The Eagles were weird. They had yellow. I get it, but they were green. Like, how many? Have you seen any green Gatorade in the store? No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the opposite there. I'm going to go with the green. And my thought process behind it is basically when I think about all those colors and I think about like the stickiest substance that you could possibly pour on your coach, I mean, we're pouring the green on him, right? We're not pouring water on him like he'll get a little wet and then it'll be okay. Like, no, we're going to drown him, right? We're going to drench that guy, okay? Sean McVay's hair is going to be all messed up after we put some green Gatorade on him. But the other thing is, we've seen that integration with Nickelodeon this year. A lot of slime being dumped on people. I know Jamar Chase was the MVP one week this year and had the slime buckets dumped on him. The green Gatorade looks like the slime. I got to go with the green.
Wait, can you imagine though if the color was something really majestic like magenta? and, Vegas was just colluding with whatever team won. It's like, all right, let's just go with this color just so we screw over millions of people who bet on the color. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, the color is magenta. And everyone's like, what the heck is that all about? I just lost $20.
Well, that's why you don't bet on the Gatorade color.
No, definitely not. No, I somehow got the one. I got blue right last year, just in a it was like a group prop bet or whatever we were all doing, but that's probably the only time I'll ever get it right. I also wanted to ask you guys, who do you think will have more passing yards in the game and more passing touchdowns between Stafford and Burrow?
Yeah, Andrew, I'm actually kind of trying to put together a parlay here. And right now, I have the Barstool app, and right now they got, let's see, player passing. They got Joe Burrow over 224 and a half, and Matthew Stafford is also at 224 and a half. I'm going to take both guys over. I think it's going to be pretty interesting what they do. Barstool has also Joe Burrow at 349 and a half. So they have all these guys. They have these two guys at different numbers, but I think for the most value, I'm taking Matthew Stafford over 249 and a half, and I'll take Joe Burrow over 299 and a half. So kind of mixing it up, but I think that gives you the best value.
Yeah, to me, this is Joe Burrow on the passing yards at least. Gonna stick with my earlier prediction. The Rams are gonna get ahead early. The Bengals are gonna come back. When you're playing from behind, you're passing more. So I'm going to stick with the yards there for Burrow. As far as the touchdowns go, that is a great question. I'm going to have to go with Burrow as well on the touchdowns.
Okay, I think for me, it's got to be, I'll say Burrow for touchdowns and passing yards too. But I think we'll see somebody like Odell get a touchdown in this game randomly. I could imagine a lot of fans are going to bet on Matt Stafford to throw to Cooper Kupp, get a touchdown. But that's going to screw over a lot of people if that does not happen. So what other way to collude with the Rams in the Super Bowl than by giving the ball to Odell in the end zone over that of Cooper Kupp? Those are just my thoughts. But for me, I'm definitely going to try to bet on Joe Mixon getting a touchdown in this game. I think they're going to give him the ball so many times, so you just got to give him at least one touchdown in this one. Finally, guys, let's go over Super Bowl 56 MVP. Obviously, our game winner factors into this because every single time the team that wins, they ultimately get the MVP of the game. The only time I remember in recent history in sports where people were arguing that a player on the losing team should have gotten the MVP of the championship was LeBron back in the 2015 finals, but you can never give a loser like that guy an MVP. Come on, give me a break. So you guys both gave your predictions for who you think is going to win this game. Right now, Otto is going with the Bengals after the McPherson kick, and Mark is picking Stafford to get his first ever Super Bowl. So if I had to guess, I'm going to say that Otto is picking Burrow for MVP, and Mark, you're picking Stafford. Am I right? Or do you think it could be maybe somebody else, like Aaron Donald, for instance?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at the MVP odds here, and it really comes down to who the winning team is, and it's usually going to be the quarterback. But you know what, Andrew? There's always that one guy every year who no one's ever heard of, who just comes up big magically. Like Corey Clement for the Eagles, James White for the Patriots, just to name a few. There's always that one little guy who makes an impact. And I'm looking at the odds here. If you really want some value on the MVP, plus 2,500, Cam Akers from Florida State. Been a big time running back for them coming off. I know he's got that Achilles strain or Achilles tear, but I think he's been revved up. He's been on the bench the whole season. He's going to go all out in the Super Bowl. Give me Cam Akers plus 2,500. Great value on that pick, right?
I don't think that. I don't think there's a chance.
Don't.
Watch. Like he'll be running down the field with the ball, and then all of a sudden, Sony Michel will be on the 2-yard line. It's gonna be 2 second and goal or whatever, and he'll just get the rush, and Mark's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give the people the value pick. I'm trying to, you can't just get Matthew Stafford or Joe Burrow. You got to find a little value in there. Go outside the box.
All right. And Otto?
I'm not giving anyone a value pick. I'm going to be as blunt about this as possible. There's going to be a guy after this game who's going to have a cigar in his mouth and a Super Bowl hat on his head. His name's Joe Burrow. And in the hand that is not holding that cigar, there's going to be an MVP trophy. It's got to be the quarterback. It's always the quarterback. I think the only player that it could be outside of quarterback in this matchup, to be quite honest, is Aaron Donald if the Rams were to win the game. He could have that much of an impact. But outside of that, I just think this is such a biased award towards quarterback, much like the league MVP award is, that this is going to be a Joe Burrow award here. And on top of that, this is we've all seen the stories about the quarterbacks this week. We alluded to it earlier about the story behind each team, and Mark talked about Burrow and I talked about Stafford out of all of the 53 players on each roster. So a quarterback driven league. I think it's going to a quarterback. I picked the Bengals, and I think it's going to be Joe Burrow with the cigar and the MVP trophy in the end.
Yeah, you really can't go against picking a quarterback. It's what history repeats itself every single year. Last year, I think I picked some defensive player on the Bucks to win the MVP, just to think outside the box. But of course, I went to Brady, which really annoyed me. But you can never go wrong with picking a QB. I hope this year is somebody different. It'd be nice to see maybe for once an offensive lineman get the MVP. I've never seen something like that ever happen. You never know. You need to switch it up here and there. I mean, you obviously you're going to give it the guy who plays, has the best game out of anybody and is the most valuable player in the Super Bowl. But at the same time, I would like to see somebody just a tad bit different than what we're usually seeing every single Super Bowl at the very end of the game. But guys, any final thoughts on this game as we are inching closer and closer? Right now we're reporting on Tuesday night. Most likely we'll have this uploaded Wednesday. Super Bowl's, of course, in a couple of days. So any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just got to say I can't wait for this game. I'll be actually out west for this game. I'm going to my buddy's house in Arizona, so I'll be out west. So we were possibly talking about the Eagles got there. We were going to drive to LA. Not going to happen now, but definitely excited to watch the game.
Yeah, same sentiment there from Mark. I will not be in warm weather. I'll still be up here in Maine. But just enjoy the game. I cannot wait for this. It's a matchup of two teams that, haven't been there too much recently. Two teams that I think a lot of people across the country can get behind and just root for good football. So very excited to watch that, and make sure you tune in next week when we start to talk about the draft process, because that is really that's what starts the process to get teams to this point. So we're excited to start diving into those prospects next week.
Absolutely, guys. All right, well, that's going to do it for us here with the Green Room Podcast. Again, I am Andrew Kent, your producer / co-host, along with Mark DiGiovanni and Otto Keisker. We're sending you off here. Looking forward to Super Bowl 56 next week. Some NFL draft talk. Have a good night, everyone.